Hey comrades, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a clip of World of Tanks, but before we get to that, I wanted to mention, well, if you couldn't notice, that is, it's St. Patrick's Day, and I've decided to wear an old hat, which, yes, is being held together with a staple, and that's because it was my dad's old hat, and maybe his dad's old hat. I'm not really sure, but that was pretty much the only way of me making this functional. Otherwise, it was literally like folded in half, and it looked really, really bad. And I wanted to wear it because I thought it would be great for the vid. And so yeah, staple. That's as far as we've gone with our engineering. I don't really know how else to do it. I wasn't gonna do little incisions and take it out and glue it and whatever. And then of course you'll see I'm rocking my Gannon's family 50th shirt, right, which was last year. We always hold a big celebration, and when it comes to this celebration that we do annually, it's all about playing your role, right? For me, it's washing the windows and cleaning up the place a little bit, helping with the cutting of the corned beef for us to serve, which this year was about 300 pounds, so tons and tons of that. And like I was saying, it's about playing your role, and this clip that we're going to see today with World of Tanks is also about playing your role. We're going to be doing it in the Conqueror, the Tier 10 British heavy tank, and this tank is kind of a fun tank, and it's all gun. When all said and done, it really is all gun, but there's a few little subtleties to that. So if you look at the specs below on the gun, we're looking at 259 penetration, which is pretty much best in class at tier 9, 400 damage, also very nice. What really sails the gun is the 6-second rate of fire, basically. It's actually sub 6 seconds, especially with everything else lumped in like crew skills and equipment. And then you get a great dispersion, so a nice little tight circle to look through when you're firing at range, and a 1.82 aim time that is awesome. I mean, you can just jump out, fire, bump back, right? So you're really not taking too much damage. But you're a heavy tank, so you're leading the charge, which means that you're kind of up in the front for the most part. Well, one of the things, and one of the big points of this tank to keep in mind is that, well, a lot of the Russian heavy tanks, a lot of the American heavy tanks up front, they're well armored. You can see right here, I mean, your frontal plate is 221 with an 80%, 70 to 80% chance of any round going through that's 259 or above. So basically any other tier 9 tank should have no problem penning that. But that's not including the concept of being hull down. The second you get hull down in this tank, right, where we get to the point where our turret is the only thing showing and our hull is down below cover, for those of you who are not familiar with that terminology, this turret becomes very, very nice, very solid, very tanky, right? All of a sudden we're talking 15, bounce, ricochet, absorb. I mean, nothing's getting through this with the exception of this little spot right up here, this tiny little ring, not even including this circle here, it's this tiny little ring, which, as you can imagine, is very difficult to hit, especially for the heavy tanks you'll be going up against. The Russian tanks have a dispersion that is, the size of a freaking watermelon on the screen. Your chances of hitting this tiny little part every time, not so great. So you can take advantage of that. And that doesn't even include if you do a really good job of, let's say getting over a ridge and getting a hull down, right? So if you're aiming at the target and your target's sitting right here, you can barely even see it. I mean, I can't even find it right now, maybe on the corner. Nope, can't find it. So basically, if you're hull down, right, and you're on a ridge with this tank, fire away and don't even worry about moving too much. Maybe just a little inching back and forth, but you're going to own that ridge. So as I mentioned before, this is all about playing your role, and we're going to do exactly that today in this next video that I'm going to show you. So let's hop into some gameplay and check that out. Alright, so here we go. I'm looking at the lineup here. I'm like, okay, we got a E75, an STI, ST1, KV5, a T26E5. We've got the benefit on the tanks. All they've got is an E75 that's their big heavy, and everything else is looking kind of lame. So I think we've got the advantage right from the get-go on the heavies. This is a big, heavy-dominated map because it's basically no cover, all in. So I'm just going to give you guys a little forewarning. If you're like, oh, wow, how is he not panicking? I straight up panicked the entire time we were doing this. This game was really tough. Now, this map has a few key features. If you look at the bottom corner, for me it's on the right, for you it'll probably be on the left when you look at the recording. The 0 line is where most of the mediums, some of the heavies will go. The 8 line is called Tank Alley, the 8-7 line-ish. That's where I'm heading. That's where a lot of the heavy tanks go. And to be honest, that's where I thought that I really thought everybody was going to be going. And, the ST1, the the KV5, and really all our big heavy tanks should be here. And we got a big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people coming up. I take a pot shot and it does not fly. But as you can see, I'm playing my role, right? I mentioned the bouncy turret before. I'm hidden right below here. I'm playing hull down. You can see I'm lurching over and just looking and taking the shots. They're not connecting, but I'm still doing what I gotta do to keep these guys suppressed. And I'm seeing these guys, I'm bouncing, doing okay. But then I look behind me and I'm like, oh my god, nobody's here. So I call for SOS, and all of a sudden a T-28 is pushing up, but I know his weak points. You're not going to stop me, buddy. I'm going right for those cupolas. So I take advantage of it. A T-21 comes to my aid, but he's a tier 6. There's nothing he can do to help me. I don't even know why he's in the battle. He shouldn't be. T-28 looks like he's pushing around, and now I'm thinking, great, he's got me. But for some reason, they don't push. So I wedge myself up. I'm like, I gotta hide behind this little mound. It's all I've got. And I just keep bouncing. I take a shot from the E-75 because he gets my hull, but I'm like, I'm going to put myself right behind this thing. I'm going to tread him, stop him, and hopefully help is coming. Finally, the ST-1 is coming, and he's a lot bigger a threat than I am. So I put the shot on the E-75. I take that second round there, and I'm like, that's it. I can't take any more, or I'm really going to be hurting. So I just hug this little mountain and then whoop, peek off, hit that T-28, right? If you notice, he's not even shooting at me anymore. He has given up on me. He's hit my turret one too many times. He doesn't even care. He's aiming at the ST-1 next to me, which going frontally on that tank, good luck, pal. So I haven't given up on him, and I send him another shell, right? So I've basically done his entire health bar. I'm just giving that Tiger some more love that I've been peppering him and his Tiger 2 with, and will continue to do. If I can get that shot, nope, can't. And I flub it because I'm kind of panicking at this point, and I'm probably going to cover the chat because I say some pretty wild stuff on the chat. I kind of freak out a little bit, I'm not going to lie, and I kind of yell at my teammates a little, and I'm kind of like, what the hell? And hell is a nice way of saying it. And then I write that, which I don't know if I'm going to cover this or not, but it says right now, holy shit, my nuts are in a vice. But luckily, the vice is unloosening, and we're pushing up. So 3 tanks out of the 5 that were on there are down. And effectually, I was basically doing a 5-on-1. We had the T-21 on the side, and I think the T-28 was somewhere in the background. But for the most part, I was running that charge. And, I find that nice. That was the spot I've been looking for on that Yag Tiger. If you watch that vid, I've been trying to hit through that little tiny spot on the Yag Tiger all game. And finally, I get the right roll for it, and it goes through. And all I had out was my treads. As you can see, I'm angling correctly so that just my treads are sticking out. So he shoots my treads, which is a waste for him. Now the STI can just turn and try to shoot him. He doesn't go through, of course, but, talk about taking advantage of it. I find the hole on the other side of the cheek, right? So I have a little bit of a symmetry complex. Wanted to make it look a little more even. But, so the rest of this game will kind of wrap up here pretty cleanly. What I want to point out, though, is I mentioned about how you're supposed to be, doing your role, right, doing your job. And my job was to go down that alley, provide support. Unfortunately, support became frontline tank. And, oh, here we go. I get greedy on this one. I'm like, oh, I'll get that Scorpion. Pfft. Noob. I'm doing a great job angling my armor all game, and then I stick my ass out for the Scorpion to take a chomp out of it. I deserve that one. But... so as I was saying about playing your role, right, quickly my role transitioned, and I just had to work with what I had. And knowing that my tank has an extremely strong turret and a really, really good gun, I had to work with the strengths in order to make that one really, really stand out. And I'm not going to lie, if they had just rushed me bum, and I don't know why they didn't, but if they had just straight up rushed me, I probably would have lost that fight, because I think they kind of thought the same thing I did, that there was going to be an ST-1, there was going to be a KV-5, right? There's going to be all these tanks that they were going to be going up against. So they kind of held it short. But by doing that, they actually screwed themselves out, because what happened was our tanks were able to then push down their lanes, right? The 0, the 1, the 3 line, the 1 line. They were able to push down those lanes because nobody was pressuring them to come from the backside, so they never had to stop. So, we'll end this game pretty nicely. Unfortunately, I did not get the final statistics on the game, which is kind of my bad. So, I did happen to look, and I did save a recording on this when I was doing it. It's not usually the one that I do when I'm doing these videos, but I did save the recording, and I checked the numbers. And unfortunately, the numbers in that little recording are off because the World of Tanks version has changed. But we ended up dropping 3,800 damage out, which is fantastic. We got the steel wall for 13 shots deflected, which is pretty impressive when you consider the tanks that we were going up against, and the fact that my hull armor is completely garbage at tier 9 and below. And we did a nice solid 10 damage, or 10 shots, right? So we can't complain about that. Overall, came out to about 59,000 credits, 3,100 XP for the ×2. That's a nice game, right? So, anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed the game. I really want to say that I enjoyed playing that match, but the truth is I didn't. I was freaking out the whole time, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, it was panicking. That 5-minute battle or 6-minute battle, whatever it shook out to be, literally felt like an eternity to me, and I did not think anybody was gonna come to my aid. But you know, sometimes you call for help and people do show up, and I'd like to believe that it was me hitting the call help button that got them over there, and not me dropping the F-bomb numerous times that got them to come back. But who can say for sure? So if you could give the video a like, it really helps out the channel, and also it really helps if you subscribe. I know I don't throw a ton of videos out there, but I'm hoping that you guys enjoy what I do put out, and I'm hoping to throw more videos together and really build up on the channel a little bit. But I really appreciate you guys checking it out. Comrades, I will catch you guys later. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Don't drink and drive your tank. Or do. I don't really. Not up to me. I don't judge. I mean, I will if you hit people and stuff. I mean, that'd be pretty bad. And I certainly will judge you. Society will judge you. A lot of people will judge you. So maybe don't. Just don't. Yeah, we're gonna go with don't. Comrade Klutch out.